Back to the Future. In my opinion, one of the greatest movie trilogies ever. What isn't there to like? Time travel, laughs, and likable characters. Well, I suppose one thing people might not like are the video games based on the films. All the Back to the Future games I've played are pretty horrible, and I refuse to review them. Are you calling me a chicken? I'm not scared of reviewing the games. Thing is, I'm busy. Is that the best chicken sound effect you could find? It's not very good. Fine. I'll review the stupid games. I know I'm gonna regret this, but I hate being called a chicken. Back to the Future on the Amstrad. Marty McFly has to return to his own time, but before he can do so, he needs to play matchmaker and get his parents back together. Otherwise, he'll cease to exist. What we have here is a basic adventure game starring Marty, his parents, Doc Brown, and Biff. The game environment isn't too big and comprises of a street which McFly travels along to visit different locations, such as the school, dance hall, and Doc's house. With the exception of Biff, none of the characters are hostile, but the player is encouraged to avoid them whenever possible, as coming in contact with a relative or future acquaintance will no doubt screw up the space-time continuum, or something like that. At the bottom of the screen are pictures of Marty and his family. In order to succeed, the family portrait needs to be restored. Parts of the photograph will appear when the player does something good, but messing up will cause the photographs to fade. Scattered about the game are various items which can be used on the characters. Giving Marty's dad a book of love poems, for example, will make the family pic gradually appear when Marty's father bumps into Marty's mum. There's a skateboard which allows the player to travel up and down the street quickly, whilst the other objects can be used to momentarily stun characters to get them out of the way for a while. Although the game has some nice ideas, they aren't implemented too well. I found myself hardly ever making any progress, as I fought a never-ending battle to restore the family photograph. I made part of the photo appear, and then walk into somebody which would undo all my hard work. After a while I found myself not caring if I won or lost. Strictly speaking, this isn't a terrible game, but it's so slow-paced and dull it's hardly any fun. Back to the Future 2 on the Master System. Things kick off in the future with McFly on a hoverboard trying to get away from Griff's gang. Sounds good, but trust me, it isn't. Apart from Griff's gang, Marty has to contend with traffic, dogs, small droids, and obstacles on the road. From time to time, the action switches from a side view to an isometric angle, and the game announces extended time. No idea why, as I cannot see a time limit anywhere. Marty's energy bar is displayed at the bottom of the screen and can be replenished by picking up objects which litter the street. The energy bar is almost pointless though, as most things, upon touching Marty, kill him instantly. One of the few things that doesn't kill the player straight away are oil spills on the road. I'm not really sure why they should damage Marty at all. Surely a hoverboard, which floats, shouldn't be affected by a spillage on the sidewalk. Controls, although far from perfect, are bearable. I found the jump button invaluable in avoiding the numerous dangers I came across. On the other hand, Marty's feeble punch attack, which can be used on Griff's cronies, is worthless, as it's hard to land any blows with it. From the in-game demo, I can see that the later levels are just as bad as the opening stage. You get an overhead area where Jennifer has to escape from her house without bumping into her future relatives. This is followed by a terrible beat-em-up, which Streets of Rage has nothing to fear from. After that, they run out of ideas. You get a sliding puzzle you have to solve, and yet another hoverboard level. This time, set in the past. Back to the Future 3 on the 16-bit Sega Genesis. Given the fact that the console is way more powerful than the Amstrad or Master System, I had high expectations for the trilogy's final game. However, if anything, this is the worst of the trio of games I've covered. Like Back to the Future 2, what we get is a mishmash of poor minigames, which try to recreate certain scenes from the movie. The first level stars Doc Brown riding on a horse, trying to rescue his beloved Clara, who is in a runaway horse carriage. To reach his love, he has to jump over obstacles, duck under flying dangers, and shoot tomahawks and aggressive cowboys. I found this to be an overly tough and frustrating way to open the game. You don't get much time to react to the oncoming threats, and after suffering a few hits, you're forced to restart from the beginning. If you play the game to death, I suppose you can memorize what's coming next, and fare better than I did. I'm just not very good at that sort of thing, as I've got a goldfish type memory. The fact that I drank a few ciders while playing probably didn't help matters either. I can't help it if bad games make me want to drink away my sorrows. At least the game over screens are mildly amusing. I wish I was Mary Poppins! Geronimo! 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 poor! For reviewing purposes, I used a cheat to briefly sample the subsequent levels, and was far from impressed. The best part was probably the target practice game, where you shoot ducks and gunfighter cutouts. This was followed by a battle with Mad Dog's gang. Seems like an unfair fight. Not only is Marty outnumbered, but he's expected to beat armed bandits by throwing plates at them. If you like the ducks from the previous level, you'll be pleased to discover that a family of ducks makes an appearance during the fight. Oh, how cute. The last level is a race against time, set on a train. Marty has to jump from carriage to carriage and make his way to the front. Beware of the telephone poles, which can knock you off. Marty still has his throwing plates, and they come in handy against the enemies hell-bent on him not returning back to the future. Okay, I can't stomach anymore, so I'm ending this review. Avoid these games or you'll end up like me, wishing that time travel was possible, so I could get back the time I wasted playing this tripe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the future.
Marty! You gotta come back with me!
Where?
Back to the future!